We held the order until current inventory reached the appropriate supply threshold. Greg, you know these procedures as well as I do.
I can't believe they held that order. Look, you're not the one who has to stand next to the patient when the doctor does that procedure. What is it you think you know about what we need here?
Why even pretend you're cooperating with us?
Look, you know as well as I do that none of the doctors or anybody else in this department would have agreed to anything if it meant running short of critical supplies. Now, you don't make medical decisions here, and the procedures from Central Supply are not the focus of the universe.
And yours are, I suppose.
Conflict pervades our daily lives. Recent studies show that 20% of time in organization is consumed by dealing with one form of conflict or another. And with total quality management and empowerment, we're all being called upon to interact with a broad range of people we didn't have to deal with before. Customers, suppliers, regulators, team members, people from other functions. And because of all this, the ability to manage conflict has become a key skill to organizational members, both in terms of being able to meet your own goals and the goals of the organization. Concern is anything you care about, like your image, power in an organization, something you believe in, a goal you're committed to, anything like that. When that conflict occurs and you feel that concern is threatened, you respond by taking a position.
There are 5 basic types of positions that we can choose in a conflict situation. A good way to describe these positions is in terms of how much we're trying to satisfy our own concerns, what we call assertiveness, and how much we're trying to satisfy the concerns of the other person or party. We call that cooperativeness. At the point where we're the most unassertive and the most uncooperative, we're actually avoiding the conflict.
Jamie, why don't you practice each part separately and then put them together?
That's no fun.
Jamie.
Not again.
Don't do that, Jamie.
It's too hard to concentrate.
Well, see if you can block it out, all right?
I can't. You gonna call her?
I wouldn't give her the satisfaction.
Hi, this is Richard, your condo association president. Please leave a message at the tone. Thanks.
Yeah, hi, Richard. This is Alan Bauer, 105. Well, never mind. It's not important. I'll get back to you later.
When our position is avoiding, we make little or no attempt to satisfy our own needs. And when both parties are avoiding, you are effectively at a stalemate. No one's concerns are satisfied, and both sides experience anger and frustration.
Most of us understand that resolving a conflict involves some kind of cooperation. And that's true. But what happens if we're only cooperative?
If we are cooperative without being assertive about our own concerns, then we are adopting a position known as accommodating.
Hi, Nancy. Nice to see you again. Taking care of these gentlemen? Or maybe.
Howard, I was wondering if you had any movement on those overdue accounts of yours.
No, none. You know I'm really swamped. Can't you just divvy them up with the other reps?
Well, sure, if you think it'll give you more time to focus on those targeted accounts.
I'll get to them, Catherine. I hear you.
No problem. Just asking. Have you followed up with Dr. Wakefield yet? He's going to be getting money for the rehab unit, and I know he's a solid lead.
I know how to develop leads, Catherine.
I didn't mean...
Yes, you did. You have been riding my tail for weeks, pressuring me about my prospects. Just let me do my job, okay?
I'm sorry. I was just making a suggestion, that's all.
Look, I've got a 3 o'clock presentation.
Go. You'll be late. Don't worry about Dr. Wakefield.
Thanks. I won't.
When we're accommodating, we make a real attempt to satisfy the other person's concerns.
Angie, get in touch with Wakefield's office and let them know I'll be taking care of the account for the time being.
On the other hand, we're making little or no real attempt to truly satisfy our own concerns. Accommodating results when we are being highly cooperative but relatively unassertive. What happens when we do the opposite, when we are highly assertive but relatively uncooperative? Then we are, in effect, competing.
Well, that should do it for inventory count in here. Are there any other big requisitions I should know about?
What about Greg's order for the cardiac cath lab? He's been squawking about it.
Central Supply held the order. There's no reason to keep that much inventory on hand.
Yeah, but he's been asking about it every day, and he's not going to be happy that the order got held.
Well, he's just gonna have to learn how purchasing operates.
In competing, we frame the conflict solely in terms of our own concerns.
Listen, last time I checked inventory, we were down to like half a dozen number 6 French catheters.
They'll be in next week.
Next week? They were supposed to be in yesterday. What gives?
Central Supply held the order.
What?
I'll see you guys later.
We held the order until current inventory reached the appropriate supply threshold. Greg, you know these procedures as well as I do.
I can't believe they held that order. Look, you're not the one who has to stand next to a patient when a doctor does that procedure. Just what is it you think you know about what we need here?
Would you let me finish? We just got a memo about how we're all supposed to follow the guidelines out of Central Supply regarding inventory levels. If you recall, your department, as well as all the surgeons...
While attempting to satisfy our own concerns, we show little concern for the other party.
Until then, I'm doing things by the book.
Well, I guess that's what's important, doing things by the book.
Why even pretend you're cooperating with us?
Look, you know as well as I do that none of the doctors or anybody else in this department would have agreed to anything if it meant running short of critical supplies. Now, you do not make medical decisions here, and the procedures from Central Supply are not the focus of the universe.
And yours are, I suppose.
Well, why don't we ask the next early infarct patient who comes in after we've run out of the right size catheter?
It's always so heartening to see purchasing and the cardiac team talking. Or not.
Russ, would you kindly inform Greg about the importance of sticking to inventory levels as outlined in our procedures manual?
Russ does not kindly need to inform me of anything.
Give me a break. Looks to me like you two would rather be at each other's throats than try to figure a way to work things out.
Excuse
If
me.
both parties are interested only in protecting their own positions, it may be difficult for either of them, or anyone else, to devise a way out.
You know, if you two decide that you want to find a way to work this out, I would be more than happy to help. But frankly, I don't think that's what you want, and that's too bad.
Competing, then, is what we might consider a classic conflict situation. Moreover, whatever position we may have previously chosen, if we are unsuccessful in resolving a conflict, we may actually move to competing out of frustration.
What's going on here?
Seems you've got a noise complaint.
I don't believe you called the police.
I didn't.
Who did?
They called.
When you've taken a position and things have escalated or in some other way they're not working, it's important to realize that you have flexibility there. Most people don't understand the full range of choices that are available to them and how they manage a conflict, and how, by exercising those choices, they can steer conflict towards productive and constructive outcomes.
Another type of position that can sometimes be effective actually lies midway between competing and accommodating. This is when we are being both moderately assertive and moderately cooperative. It's called compromising.
She's good. I see why you encourage her. But does it have to be every night?
Her teacher gives her a new piece every week. She's got to have time to practice.
But why so loud? Half the time I'm turning up the stereo just to drown you out.
Same here. All right, look, I suppose we could set some kind of volume limits for both sides.
I guess I could use headphones, but not all the time, you understand? Just some nights.
When we are compromising, we agree to give up half of what we want in order to get the other half. This is also known as splitting the difference.
I could do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
All right. Maybe on the other nights, she could practice before dinner. Sounds fair enough to me. Maybe we should ask a third party. Jamie?
Although these last three positions, competing, accommodating, compromising, seem quite different from each other, they have one thing in common. Each of them produces only partial satisfaction for one or both of the parties. In the case of compromising, both parties get only part of what they want. They get something, but have to give up something in order to get it. There's one last kind of position you can take in a conflict. Of all of them, it requires the most patience and commitment to achieve. But when you're successful, you completely satisfy the concerns of both parties.
At this position, we are being highly assertive about our own concerns, but also highly cooperative with regards to the concerns of the other party. It's called collaborating. Collaborating begins when we are willing to look past people's positions to uncover the concerns that underlie those positions.
Listen, Howard, let's admit it. We're at a standoff about how we work your accounts. And so far, I've been letting you have your own way.
Not always.
Mostly. And it isn't working.
Go on.
I'd like to try and put aside the friction for a moment and find out what you really want.
May sound selfish, but what I really want is to be left alone, to develop leads and handle my accounts in my own way.
But Howard, I have to know the status of all the open and pending accounts. I mean, it's my job.
I know, it's just, well, I'm not used to having someone check up on me. Where I used to work, I didn't have a direct supervisor.
And how did that work out?
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Okay. So you say you feel you work best with a lot of autonomy. And your track record supports that. What I need
For collaborating to work, we must engage in active listening and talk with one another honestly and openly. Unlike some other positions, in collaborating, we are highly assertive with regard to our own concerns.
What you don't understand is those inventory guidelines don't take into account the patient load growth we've had in the last 6 months, especially after the new HMO contracts.
But Greg, I can't just change the inventory procedures on my own.
In order for collaborating to be successful, it also means we have to be highly cooperative with regards to the concerns of the other party.
My problem is we don't know what size cath we need until we see the patient. If we don't have enough on hand, I get to be the one to tell the doctor. Come on, this could have a real critical impact on patient care.
I know that, and I agree, it's important. My problem is the last time I changed the guideline on inventory, I really got chewed out good by the purchasing committee.
That's crazy.
Tell me about it. How many of each size cath do you think you need to have on hand to provide a comfortable buffer?
I don't know, a couple of dozen.
Of each?
Yeah.
That's a big investment. I tell you what, I'll put the order through to stock inventory to that level. if you'll come with me to the committee at our next meeting and help get this issue ironed out, okay?
Ultimately, collaborating succeeds because it defines conflict as a mutual problem and allows us to work towards an integrative outcome.
Great. That'll help.
Wakefield called. His funds have come through. He's ready to talk.
You know, your instincts were right on that account, Howard. But I have a problem.
Let's talk.
Once a resolution has been determined, collaborating requires that both parties continue to revisit and commit to the process.
Now, I agreed to give you greater autonomy with your accounts and not to look over your shoulder.
And you've done that.
Right. And you?
I promised to submit a summary to you, and it's late.
Yes, and I didn't want to bug you about this, but it's been 3 days.
I finished it yesterday. I'm sorry it's late, but I did put it on the email network for you.
You know, Howard, working together isn't easy, but I'm sure it'll be worth the effort.
You know, Catherine, you're absolutely right.
Collaboration is especially important when you're dealing with organizational issues that are crucial. When both concerns you're talking about are too important to be sacrificed. The important thing to understand is the broad range of choices you have in how you deal with the conflict. Knowing those choices and being able to use them allows you to manage the conflict more constructively.
It's not like Catherine. She knows this is your night to practice. Jamie? Excuse me, Catherine, have you seen